I made a video recently about the red pilling of children and a natural red pill process that children go through growing up in the Western world. So, like, realising there's no Santa Claus, or no Easter Bunny, or no Tooth Fairy, and those types of things, as they're told anyway. And the thought process of that child realising that this was a lie, and now I know, and now I'm wiser. And I just want to relate that to atheism and talk about the red pill of atheism for big children, and how atheism is a final stage of destroying a culture and promoting nihilism and suicidal lifestyles, really. And Christianity has been a perfect precursor to this atheism, because compared to Christianity, atheism is the intelligent option. I don't think that atheism would ever have gained momentum in a pre-Christian, nature-based, pagan type reincarnation culture, because why would you throw away the idea of basically living forever, potentially, in an honor-based system, to living a materialistic, self-destructive lifestyle, and living for the now in a pleasure cult type life? Could happen, not to say it wouldn't happen and never could happen, but I don't see people who lived in an honourable such way just up and leaving that life for such gluttony. However, I think the way Christianity was introduced, which would have been something in the beginning subtle, and something that would have happened due to having a already polytheistic, pantheistic type outlook, and accepting something extra into the belief system is not that far-fetched. It doesn't seem that damaging at first, and that wasn't really until the Christians gained power, or rather the power became Christian, that Christianity became very oppressive and destructive. Before then, it would have just been like an add-on or a concept, something to think about. But what happened which is something that I can say for certain that did happen, is that Christianity created a monotheism, because it is a monotheistic cult. So what that's basically done is rounded up all the pagans and funneled them all into a monoculture, or a monotheism. So it's easier to turn a society and a culture to be self-destructive and nihilistic, or nihilistic, when they've only got one god rather than many, because that's what the gods are, or were, still are, should always be, as a deity for inspiration. There's more to it than that, obviously. I don't personally believe that there are literal beings flying around in the clouds, and goat-drawn chariots and cat-drawn chariots and chariots rather. That's a very childish way of looking at them. Maybe it's a way that children can enjoy them, but the way myths are meant to be used is a way to explain things that are hard to explain. Myth does not mean not true. Myth just means not literal, at least in my perspective anyway. And there's truth in myth, and can learn a lot from myths, but they are not to be taken literally. And I think that's something that's happened through Christianity, and that when Christianity might have been entertained in a pagan culture, it was not taken literally. It was taken symbolically, or any which way it might have been seen as useful. And then it worked its way from there to being this oppressive monotheism, and then outlawing all the other and all the old ways. It's because it's obvious. You can see that in order for Christianity to have any foothold, it had to adopt all the traits of paganism. I don't really know anything about Christianity in its purest form, and what is Christianity without all the pagan elements. I don't believe there's anything much left. All it is just a bastardized, appropriated version of what was already here and what was already there. And that's how we got to atheism, because somewhere along the lines Christianity was taken literally, and then of course to look back on paganism with that sort of Christian washed perspective, and to assume that the pagans thought that the pagan stories were to be taken literally, they're a little bit more ridiculous and hard to believe. So when something like atheism is introduced as an option compared to Christianity, of course atheism seems to be the intelligent choice. So then we've got these atheists that get on their nihilistic high horse and go, I'm so much smarter than a Christian because I don't believe in this obvious bullshit. So that gives this atheism so much more power to the people, because it empowers them and makes them feel so much smarter than the silly Christians. And yes, I do think Christians are silly, but I think Christians today at least live better lives than most atheists. Atheists think they're better, but I honestly find Christians to be a little bit better than atheists. They don't understand why they do these things that they do, the Christians I mean, but atheists don't understand anything, and they go, oh, science this and science that, and they don't realise they're just as ignorant as Christians, and they've got just as much faith in their belief system as the Christians do. They know nothing about what they believe, other than what they're told by their priests and their prophets, their scholars, and they don't understand that they're being bullshitted. Science is useful. Science is real. The scientific method, I mean. If anyone's heard of The Science Delusion by Rupert Sheldrake, I'll know what I'm talking about. But basically the idea that there's two types of science. There's the science belief, which I refer to as scientism, and then there's the scientific method. The scientific method is and always will be useful and good. It is the thing that makes us question everything, makes us look for holes in all of our theories in order to find what is factual. This, today, still exists, but when most people refer to science, they are not referring to the scientific method, they're referring to the scientific faith. Science tells us this, science tells us that, when in actual fact, no, a puppet in the science community tells you this, and you believe it, you swallow it whole. That's a scientismist, that's an ignoramus, just as shallow and stupid as a Christian. That is the red pill that atheists need to swallow, and they are so fucking arrogant, they are so Dunning-Krugered, they cannot even entertain the idea that they don't know anything. And I don't want to necessarily bring this up, but the flat Earth has some value, and the flat Earth, I think its value is that it can teach people to question what they're told. If you take the flat Earth theory seriously, just long enough to think about what do you actually know as an everyday plebeian who hasn't been to space and looked down upon the Earth, who hasn't done all the calculations, and realize that you are just trusting in other people, scientists, to give you this information. That's the realization. That is the red pill of atheism and scientism that the flat Earth can be useful for. I don't believe the Earth is flat, but I don't know that the Earth is spherical. I believe the Earth is spherical, but I don't know that because I haven't done all the tests myself, and I only trust in my own experience. That's about all for now. I think I've got it.